Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. Feels like it's been a big fat chunky minute since I've done a video, mostly because I've been focusing on uni, which is not like me at all, but you know, I'm at the final stretch of my course, just gotta do some more essays and shit like that, whilst also teaching myself all of the content. It's really fucking difficult, to be honest. But that's why I haven't been making any videos, because I've been pretty focused on that. And also, I've just been doing fuck all, to be honest. Anyway, besides the point. So today I wanted to bring you a video talking about this recent patch, or this recent update, content addition, whatever you want to call it, titled Quarantine, lockdown, coronavirus, what have you. There's a little bit of confusion about what the update is really called. The blanket term for it seems to be coronavirus. I'm guessing that's like the broad name for this update, I guess. And kind of like the sub branches of it are lockdown and quarantine. I'm guessing lockdown and quarantine is kind of referring to like chapters of an update. Perhaps it's like a live service thing. I'm not really entirely sure. But we've had this update. It's a little bit confusing. Today I want to review this content addition, how it's benefit in real life, and yeah, just kind of look at the pros and cons and all of that good stuff. Alright, so let's just start off by talking about real life itself. So real life is a game which has been developed by an unknown being an unknown amount of time ago. There's a lot of mystery surrounding where life has come from, particularly with why does life exist. In terms of game talk, you know, life has become a game which we're so used to, and we're so desperate to keep in our kind of realm of reality, but we don't really understand why we have it. We don't really get why we're the only people to have it. You know, why haven't other civilizations got this game? There's a lot of confusion surrounding what the hell real life is. For me personally, I tend not to worry about who developed it and when it came out and what have you. It's like with a lot of things, you know, it's just kind of there. It doesn't necessarily have an answer. You just have to kind of accept it. So one of the things which I really want to reinforce, and this is the first thing that I'll say about real life, is the fact that as a game, it is so technically impressive. I cannot begin to understand how someone would make this. It's fucking ridiculous. The fact that each person in real life has their own subjective experience of this game, and how everything is tailored exactly to that person in terms of the person's unique characteristics, in terms of their brain chemistry, but not only that, but the actual context, the circumstances, and the social boundaries of the real life is fucking ridiculous. Real life is a procedural game, right? Nothing is known. Everything, for the most part, is random. We have choice, which is well, not necessarily random, but if you want to believe that choice is down to us, then yeah, I guess we have the ability to choose what we want to do in this game. But at the end of the day, choice is kind of an illusion, especially since we are really just playing this game. And we know that someone has created real life. Something has created real life. So really, everything is decided for us. But yeah, life is a very procedural game, as I said. It's very good at giving you stuff which you won't ever expect, and really just fucking you over. A bit like Rocket League, you know, you just get treated like shit, but you still really like it for whatever reason. So in the past few months, we have received a very, very big update for real life, as I said, called coronavirus, or lockdown, or quarantine. Now, this update, which kind of came out of nowhere, there was no kind of teasing for it, there was no leaks, anything like that, has pretty much plundered life and our pre-existing expectations of life into complete chaos and fear. This shit is nothing similar to what we had before. We had a game which was quite reliable, albeit throughout the history of the game, you know, updates have changed certain things, particularly with wars and racism and inequality, right? Not every update has been beneficial for real life, okay? But Corona is a complete anomaly. It makes zero sense to me, and I don't really think it's made any sense to anyone else. There's so many fucking any's in one sentence. The fact that Corona wasn't exactly announced, you know, we didn't really have any idea that it was coming, means that not really any person has prepared for it. The world was plunged into a state of chaos, particularly when the update first came out, because people weren't exactly sure what to do with it. They were given this new content that was new and was fresh, but they had it in a context, as in a pre-existing game world, that didn't really align with the new content. It's, say, I don't know, put in fucking space battles into Skyrim. You know, it doesn't fit. The two don't combine. This is my first initial complaint with the Corona update, is the fact that it just doesn't make sense. It makes zero fucking sense to me why we would want to play this. Do you know what I mean? It makes no sense. It literally has no relevance to anything that we've ever said is good or anything that we've ever expressed joy for. It's like the complete opposite of what we wanted. Whoever allowed this update to go through is a fucking idiot, and I really hope that there are some consequences, because this shit is... no, it's not good at all. So let's talk a little bit about the update itself. So, as I said, it's a big update. It's an overhaul of sorts. Everything is different, yet everything is the same. I think the biggest change that people will notice is the fact that freedom has now been nerfed to such an extent that you basically can't do anything. It's not even a case where, you know, measures are in place and people kind of ignore them and just go about doing what they always do. No, there's like a general threat. There's a genuine pressure on all of us to adhere to this update. You know, we have to stay indoors. This is the biggest thing. Our gameplay is literally restricted to our houses and maybe a little bit of outside, but for the most part we haven't got shit compared to what we had before, you know, where we had the entire map to explore. We could go to any area of the map that we wanted, provided we had enough credits for it. Now we're literally stuck in a tiny boxed room and shit is boring. Really fucking boring. One of the biggest things that pisses me off about the Corona update is the fact that we have so little choice in what we do. This kind of ties into gameplay, but things are just boring. You know, I don't have the ability to go where I want, to see who I want, to do what I want. You know, ultimately the game is very much being controlled by this update. That element of freedom which we previously had has been pretty much stripped away. Likewise, in terms of the procedural generation aspect of it, there is barely any variety. Like, there's no variety. I've been looking at this for, like, I don't even know now, over a month, right? I'm fed up of seeing this shit. Now, obviously, because there's a new meta, players are responding to this in a very strange and kind of nostalgic way, actually. To begin with, we'll talk a little bit about the negatives, because it seems like being limited with such a small play area has very much made us dependent on technology, particularly the internet and social media. You know, the internet and social media was incredibly powerful before this update, but now that we basically only have a room and ourselves, we are so dependent on external stimulus that we're probably going to get to a point where the real world is so fucking boring that we don't even want to be in it, because we've become so used to talking to people on the internet and to and, you know, doing pretty much everything via online, especially like shopping, you know. Maybe if this update gets revoked, which apparently it is, at some point it's going to be rolled back, then maybe people are still going to be used to that. And maybe people are still going to have this play style of being incredibly dependent on others and not necessarily comfortable with themselves. I don't know, this is really just speculation. I guess the one thing that we can take from this though is the fact that this dependency on technology could be a hint to future content, perhaps like some sort of advanced technology dependency patch where we become so dependent on technology that we do literally disregard this immediate play area and essentially create our own game. You know, we create a game in this game and we live in that game. That is my theory. I don't know if anyone else would really agree with me, but this update does seem to be suggesting that there's going to be a future kind of emphasis on being less in the game world and more in our game world. But on the contrary, and this is a complete juxtaposition, we have really old features that have started to make a comeback for whatever reason. Features like growing food, knitting, doing puzzles, you know, boring shit that we haven't done since like the 40s and 50s is making a comeback, and I don't know how that happens. You know, the code has been there the entire time, the features have always been there, but no one's really decided to fuck with them. It's only really with the Corona update that people have started to care more about these older features and have kind of seen the importance of them. This is why I'm saying it's a complete juxtaposition, because with technology, you know, there's hints that the next update is probably going to make us more technologically dependent. These older features are suggesting the opposite, you know? It shows that as players, we're kind of nostalgic for what once was. But coupled with the newer version of the world in terms of the Corona update with the old 40s and 50s content is interesting. Is very interesting. It's a unique playstyle. I don't think many people have really experienced it nor seen it, to be honest. So to conclude, I just want to give my sort of final thoughts on the Corona update. I don't like it. I think it's really boring. I think it's possibly one of the worst additions that we have had so far. The only other possible updates I could think of that even come close to the severity of Corona would probably be World War One, World War Two, maybe the Cold War as well, the moon landing, like that. Yeah, okay, there's updates that have been similar, or the Spanish flu, right? There's updates that have been similar, especially to a much larger extent. Like, I think the Second World War update was quite possibly the worst update we've got so far. Whoever developed that deserves to be fucking shot. That was abysmal. But Corona's different because Corona is in a different generation of players. You know, the players in the 40s and 50s could deal with a world war because they had dealt with a world war, you know, 30 odd years ago. In terms of players my age, you know, we've only really just started out. We've only got I've only got 19 hours, nearly 20 hours. We haven't really had something like this before. We've been shrouded in comfort, in stability, and to have something that is this aggressive and threatening to a lot of people is uncomfortable. It's not something we're used to. And especially, you know, people with my kind of game time aren't really coping with it all that well. Probably myself included, actually. I don't think Corona is necessarily a bad update overall, though. I think there are definitely some benefits of it. I think once the update is revoked, people are going to be a little bit more appreciative of what they have. I think there is going to be a little bit more of kind of like community spirit. There's going to be probably a bit more optimism, I would like to hope. I think because we have been given the absolute shittest update of all time, the fact that we know it's going to revert back to near enough what once was, that kind of fills us with a bit of hope. I think if we didn't know that this was going to get re-rolled, a lot of people would probably quit. Like, they would leave the game. Millions would probably leave the game and probably uninstall it and wipe it off their computer. Yeah. So So guys, that's my review of the Corona update. I hope you enjoyed. Please do let me know what you think of it in the comment section of the video. I just want to say thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. If you enjoyed it, please do feel free to leave a big fat like on it. And as always, I will see you guys on my next video. Take care, stay safe, love you all, see you soon.